Greetings, my friends, and welcome. How's everybody doing? Kicking off a brand new week of broadcast excellence. Every Monday seems like a clean slate, at least in part. And so here we are, revved and ready to go again. And as we get started, there are stories coming out of Capitol Hill that the Democrats are expected to provide enough votes to end the government shutdown. The Senate's voting today at noon, a procedural vote. It's all part of the cloture vote process. They need 60 votes to move on to what's really at stake. And if they get the 60 votes, it's pretty much an indication of what they want. In this case, a budget deal that would end the government shutdown. By the way, that's what this shutdown's about. This shutdown is about a budget deal. The drive-bys want you to believe the shutdown is over the fact that Republicans hate immigrants. Now, what it means, if this is actually true, and we won't know till the vote is completed, this is all because of what we think is going to happen, is because people aides to various senators are telling people in the media that there might be enough Democrats to vote now to end the shutdown. Now, you can look at this one of two ways. You can look at this as the Democrats realize what thin ice they're skating on, and they really are. I mean, the real news of what's happening here is how thin the ice is on which the Democrats are skating. It's never, of course, portrayed that way because of the media. But the Democrats have made choices here that if there were proper informing of the American people on, they would be in heap big trouble. And I think it wouldn't be that big a deal, wouldn't be that big a challenge to properly inform the American people. Or there's another possibility, and we won't know until later today, later this afternoon, when this all shakes out. The other possibility is the Democrats think that they're ready to roll Mitch McConnell. Democrats think that they're close enough to getting what they want, which is comprehensive amnesty for everybody who's here illegally. They're close enough to getting that they can go ahead and end the government shutdown here based on commitments. We don't know yet, folks. Luis Gutierrez, who is the Democrat congressman from Illinois, said that he would help. This guy is totally into amnesty for everybody now and in the future. Luis Gutierrez, one of the biggest pro-amnesty Democrats out there. And he said, hey, you know what? I would help build the wall if we can move off the dime here and get going. And Rich Lowry had a very astute reaction to this. He said, beware of any of these Democrats who offer any kind of concessions on the wall. And here's why. The Democrats expect to win the House in November. And whatever they do, deal-wise, on immigration today that may look like something against their own interests is something they think they could simply erase, which they could. If Democrats win the House and get close in the Senate, then whatever happens in this deal could be erased and wiped out and have a fight with Trump over how to deal with that. But even without the Democrats' expectation they're going to win in 2018, the Republicans would be wise to doubt the sincerity of any move that the Democrats are making. The Democrats, and the Republicans are holding fast here, and Trump is praising them. And we're in a new day here. I don't mean to be dumping on the Republicans or sounding like I am, because I'm not. They're pushing back. The White House is pushing back. I think it's part of the reason why the Democrats are ready to try to end this, because I really think they wanted this to go on to the State of the Union. I think they wanted this shutdown to go on interminably. But because of Trump and Republican messaging, it's gotten out there that the Democrats are putting the special interests of people here illegally over everybody else and everything else. And that's why I say they're skating on thin ice. There's another aspect of all of this that's happening out there. We've talked about the generic polling that shows the Democrats just cleaning up in November. Generic ballot polls are where they ask people, are you going to vote Democrat or Republican in the next congressional elections in November? And they're common. They do them all the time. And the Democrats usually win them on the basis they're more Democrats than Republicans. In in generic ballot polling up till now, the Democrats have just been kicking rear end. Then the tax bill happened, and the Democrat share of the lead in the generic ballot is falling. Now, it's still, their lead in the generic ballot is still significant, but it's trending downward. And I think it's only going to continue to trend downward. And I'll tell you why. It's the economy, stupid. The polling data on the economy and the tax cut is overwhelming, except for one thing. Way too many people are still crediting Obama for it. And that's totally the media. That's not Trump's fault. That's totally the media. And, of course, Obama and his people are out there saying that it is their economic policies in the last 7 years finally now coming to fruition. Nothing could be further from the truth. There wasn't one thing the Obama administration did to promote anywhere near the economic growth that we are having and are going to have. But that frame of mind, that public opinion can be changed, and it will as time goes on. But the public support of the tax cut and the economic confidence and the robust attitudes, positive attitudes about the economy are inescapable. And at some point, if not yet, it will dawn on more and more people that Obama had nothing to do with it. It's all Trump. And I'll tell you why. There's so many things that the Democrats are not, maybe they are counting on this, I don't know. But when you get to Washington inside the establishment, they look at things in a static way, not dynamically. So they look at a tax cut. Look at the Trump tax cut. And what have they said about it? Yeah, it's nothing for anybody but corporations. The only people going to benefit are corporations. Corporations are going to be, the average American's not going to see a dime. He's going to get crumbs. Of course, that's not true. People are seeing it when the withholding tables begin to be implemented next month. People's take-home pay increases, then their bonuses happen. The tax rate on the bonuses will be much less. It's going to be eye-opening, but that's just the ignition. You know what else is, and don't forget the energy sector news. America is now near the top of energy-producing nations, and we are becoming a net exporter due to fracking and natural gas. And this has brought down the cost of energy. It's made it more plentiful, obviously. And we've opened pipelines, and there is just a, get out of the way and let this economy start chugging. And there's one other thing. Apple's decision to repatriate $250 billion. Now, of that $250 billion, they're going to have to pay $38 billion in taxes. The single largest taxpayer at any corporations are. Why are you smiling in there? Why are you laughing? Because it is $250 billion. And then in addition to repatriating that, they're going to invest another $350 billion unrelated to the $250 they're repatriating to create 20,000 new jobs and build a new massive campus, employee headquarters in a state that is not going to be Texas or California. Can you imagine the bidding that's going to take place among states for that headquarters? You imagine the deals Apple's going to be up. But wait, I'm jumping ahead of myself here. So $250 billion minus 38 is going to be repatriated. Why? Because the American corporate tax rate has been reduced from 35 to 21%. That means that the number one corporation in the world has made the decision that the United States is the place to do business. Guess what that's going to make happen or cause? You're going to have foreign investment in this country, the likes of which you haven't seen yet. Somebody called it a howitzer. Somebody in the drive-bys, no, not the drive-bys, but somebody in punditry media called this a howitzer. It is that big a deal. Once Apple repatriates this money, and that's a genuine stimulus, folks. That's not an Obama stimulus. The Obama stimulus wasn't a stimulus at all. It was just redistribution of existing wealth. This is 200, we'll call it 210 to be, rounded up and be easily understood. We'll call it $210 billion is going to be infused into the U.S. economy that wasn't there. It's not being taken from somewhere else in the U.S. economy and redistributed like Obama's was. This is taking $250 billion that was not here and putting it in a giant syringe and injecting it here. Plus Apple's other $350 billion. So here's over $500 billion that is going to be invested in the United States of America. What do you think the impact of that is going to be on other businesses and corporations around the world when the United States becomes the place to invest? All of this is going to happen this year. We are on the cusp, potentially here, of an economic boom, the likes of which we haven't seen. And the added bonus is the American people are right in there participating in it with their tax cut, with their more disposable income, with their wage increases and bonuses. And when this stuff all kicks in, the idea that the Democrat Party needs to be elected because we all hate Trump, and Trump's a bigot, and Trump's bad, and Trump's a moron, and Trump's immoral and all that, and we've got to make sure we provide for illegal immigrants and so forth, could just fade away as an issue or two the Democrats could win on. So much to observe here, and particularly this vote in the Senate where the shutdown, the procedural vote, may indicate that enough Democrats are we may get to 60 votes, so they may end it. I need to find out why they're doing this. And that will take some time, and it'll happen while the program is happening here. So multitasking is the order today. All right, Senator Schumer just said that the government will reopen in a few hours, and he was peppering that in a speech about how wonderful the Democrats are and how much they care and how strident and mean-spirited the Republicans are and how obstinate Donald Trump is. But nevertheless, they're going to find a way to work with good Democrats and moderate middle people and find a way to deal with the extreme elements of the Republican Party on immigration. So until I know more about the actual details of this, I'm going to reserve analysis and comment on it. My instincts are the Democrats had an awakening here that they were skating on thin ice. It could be the opposite, though. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, key Senate vote to reopen the government for 3 weeks is what is being reported now. My take on this is Trump wins. Trump wins. The government shutdown has been... When was the last time the GOP won a shutdown showdown? When was the first time the GOP ever won a shutdown showdown? And yet, Trump has won a shutdown showdown. The Schumer shutdown showdown is over. And Trump has emerged victorious. But further analysis, I must delay until I find out the guts, the nuts and bolts of this. We have a soundbite from Senator Chuck U. Schumer complaining that Trump refused to negotiate over the weekend. The situation became dire. It sounds to me like that Schumer and the Democrats expected the Republicans to cave. And Trump did not cave. The Democrats know they're on thin ice on this, and so Trump wins. Meeting and surpassing all audience expectations every day. Every break, every segment, Rush Limbaugh behind the golden EIB microphone. I actually think the Schumer shutdown was effective. These guys, they did not want to continue this. The Democrats did not want to continue this. They started it. They shut down the government. They're the ones that ended it. And the only reason can be it wasn't working as they had intended. It wasn't accomplishing what they wanted it to accomplish. And I will bet you that they were counting on the fact that they think there's so much hatred for Trump. I think they look at Trump's approval number polls and they believe them. And they see that only 40% of the people approve of Trump. And they think this is slam dunk. We can shut down the government. We can make them think the Republicans do it because we always make them think that. And now we can add Trump to it. And we can blame Trump, ace negotiator, out of his league, doesn't know what he's doing. We can blame Trump. They just didn't count on the fact that, and this is beyond me why they didn't, but they didn't count on the fact that Trump returning fire. Not just returning fire, Trump went on offense. Trump and Mick Mulvaney went on offense, started calling it the Schumer shutdown, explaining to everybody the Democrats were given everything they were offered, that DACA was in no immediate threat. It doesn't expire until March. No reason to do this. If the Democrats were profiting from this, if the Democrats were gaining ground, if the Democrats were moving down the road toward winning the House in 2018 with this, the shutdown would still be on. I'm convinced that they wanted this to go on through the State of the Union. I think their intention was to have Trump deliver the State of the Union during the government shutdown. I think they had all kinds of grandiose plans. I want you to hear one bite before we get to the phones. It's Susan Collins, well-known Republican moderate from Maine. After the shutdown vote in the Senate, she was talking to reporters.
We started out with about 17 senators attending the first meeting in our office, and the number grew ultimately to 25 senators. Senators representing generally the center of the parties, but both Democrats and Republicans. And what we shared in common was a determination to accomplish the goal of reopening government, convincing our leaders that there was a path forward that would also accommodate those of us who are concerned about the fate of the dreamers who live in this country, many of whom have known no other country as their home.
So here we have, we're still waiting for that big book in the library, Great Achievements of Moderates. You won't find that book in the library. You just don't find it. Greatest Moments of Moderates. What we can all learn from moderates. Give me the books. There aren't any. And yet the moderates got together and they calmed down their respective extremists on both sides, and we got a deal. And she throws in here, for those of us who are concerned about the fate of the dreamers who live in this country. Okay, look, I'm going to get in the weeds. I'm going to do this. Normally this goes deeper in the weeds than I would. But you people are smart and attentive, and you are absorptive, meaning you hear this stuff and you don't forget it. I want to tell you what the Republicans offered that led to the shutdown. The Republicans first offered a budget deal that would keep the government running and a dreamer amnesty. Dreamer amnesty has always been on the table with Trump. The polls all show that 80% of the American people want something done for the dreamers because the American people have been led to believe that they're teenagers. They're just young kids, Mr. Limbaugh. They're just young children. They were brought here. They don't know anybody, and they're parentless, and they don't know any other country. Well, most of them are not teenagers anymore. They're into their young 20s, mid-20s now. Some of them are even in their 30s. I don't know what percentage of them work, but they're not exclusively a bunch of kids. But anyway, the politics of this, because everybody thinks they're kids, the Republicans, Trump, offered amnesty for the dreamers weeks ago. In fact, the Democrats said that's what they wanted. They wanted amnesty for the dreamers, and they wanted enough money to keep the government operating. All Trump said, all the Republicans said was, give us something on the wall. Like I said, give us 10 feet. Give us 10 feet of the wall. Give us something on chain migration. Schumer would not budge, even though amnesty for the dreamers and enough money to keep the government running was in the deal. So then the Republicans revised their offer. They said, since we seem to be going nowhere, let's just not even talk about immigration. Let's kick that can down the road for a while, and let's fully fund the government, and we'll throw in an extension of the Children's Health Insurance Program. That's something else the Democrats have demanded. That's something else they wanted. So we were going to fully fund the government with a full-fledged CR and an extended long-term extension of the Children's Health Insurance Program, which the Democrats wanted to do too. And the Republicans said, we'll come back in March when the Dreamer thing is set to expire. And when we don't have any hard, and fast limits here, because we're going to do the budget, so we're not going to come up any deadlines that we're running out of money. And they rejected that. The Democrats rejected every proposal. So the Democrats and their rejection forced the Republicans to come up with a third attempt. And what it was, the Democrats had made it clear that amnesty, which is they've always made it clear, and a lot of Republicans, amnesty, comprehensive immigration reform is a requirement. We're not moving forward till we get some kind of commitment on that. And since the Republicans had taken amnesty for the Dreamers out of their second offer, Republicans said, what can we do? What can we do? So McConnell came up with an idea to get rid of the filibuster, and let's pass a funding bill. Let's do the budget side of this with just 50 votes instead of 60. They refused that. They refused getting the money they wanted. They refused amnesty for the Dreamers in two separate offers. They refused a deal that would pick up amnesty for the Dreamers in March. They wanted the shutdown. The Republicans gave them three variations of everything they wanted, including, hey, let's do a vote on the budget and get rid of that. Let's extend the budget here with only 50 votes. And the Democrats said no to that. And when Schumer said no to that, when Schumer said no to a temporary vote, one-time vote, getting rid of the filibuster, that guaranteed the shutdown. There were three separate offers that the Republicans included everything the Democrats wanted. So now, after a weekend of this, all of a sudden, the Democrats are able to find 60 votes, or 81. So you tell me what was not happening that the Democrats expected to happen.